After the hammer was knocked by a representative of UNESCO Intergovernmental Committee, the practice related to the Vietnamese belief in mother goddesses of the three realms has been officially recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, and also the ninth of Vietnam's heritage to receive the title. The event took place at the 11th Conference of the Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Đạo Mẫu is an indigenous religion of Vietnam, a very ancient religious tradition. Some scholars say it probably began during the prehistoric era. Essentially, it's the worship of the mother goddesses. It's about womanhood, fertility. It's about the fertility of the earth itself. Đạo Mẫu is not written. There are no written books like the Bible or the Quran. It is all by words of mouth and mostly by music, by Châu Văn songs.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. Now, have you ever heard of a ritual here in Vietnam called Hầu Đồng or Đạo Mẫu? Now, that is the mother goddess religion, and the mother goddess is a deity that basically brings a fullness, favorable weather conditions, and also happiness to people. And it is a ritual of mediumship, that is Hầu Đồng, is a ritual of mediumship here in Vietnam. Now, not many people in Vietnam, myself included, can fully grasp the different concepts of this religion and the mediumship. So in our Talk Vietnam today, we actually have someone who knows quite a bit about this subject. He is a freelance photographer based in New York, and in September of 2016, he has published a book called Hầu Đồng, The Spirit Mediums of Vietnam. Before that, he had spent 2 years taking photos and also learning more about this subject. So without further ado, we'll join in together to welcome the guest of Talk Vietnam today. His name is Tewfic El-Sawy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, thank you.
It's a great pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, thank you for taking the time. In your opinion, what qualities does the mother goddess religion and Hầu Đồng possess in order to be a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage of humanity?
Đạo Mẫu sprung from the soil of a delta of the Red River. So it's indigenous. The farmers, thousands of years ago, Vietnamese, realized that they needed something spiritual in their lives. The cultivation of their land depended on the sky, depended on the water,
the land,
on the earth, and on the forest and the mountains. These are the four categories, the four palaces, as they call them, of Đạo Mẫu. So over the years, it grew into a Vietnamese identity. Now, if Đạo Mẫu is not an intangible heritage of Vietnam, I don't know what it is. You know, it's the character, it's the fundamental essence of the country. Yes. Plus, you've got, it's not only a religion, but it's also, over the years, it got the heroes that defended Vietnam from foreign invaders. Yes. So there is nationalism, there's patriotism, there is farmland, there is everything. So I think it's tangible, but because it's religion, because these are rituals, then it is an intangible.
Now, when was the first time that you learned about Đạo Mẫu, the mother goddess religion, and mediumship?
In September of 2014, I was leading a photo workshop. I had organized a photo workshop here in Hanoi, and we went to Sapa and Bac in Thai Bac region. And I remember that day very, very clearly. I heard religious music, more like bells and gongs, coming from a building. So I go in and I see a beautiful ceremony of women lined up like these ladies here.
Yes.
And I went in and I saw these very beautifully dressed ladies standing in the temple. And I had no idea what this was all about. I took a lot of pictures and I asked, I said, what is this? And the lady said, I remember, Dao Mao, Dao Mao, Dao Mao. But then she said Len Dong. The second day, we were supposed to go to Bakha. The same thing happened. Out of a small temple in Bakha, I heard religious music and I heard singing. And I went into the temple and I saw this magnificent lady here who was wearing all white. And she was starting to dance, and there were a lot of women around her, clapping and chanting and feeling almost overjoyed with what's happening. I had absolutely no idea what was that. So I asked the lady, what is this? What is this? And finally she understood, and she said Len Dong. So immediately I remembered what was told to me in Sapa, and I still didn't know what it was. So after the ceremony, which took about 3 hours, I sort of photographed like a madman. I went back to my hotel, and the hotel didn't have internet. So I had to wait until I come back to Hanoi. And I looked it up, Len Dong and Dao Mao. I didn't know how to spell it very well, but I tried. I looked and I didn't see pictures from foreign non-Vietnamese photographers. So I said, this is something that I would like to be doing for the coming couple of months. I didn't know it would take so much. I said, just a couple of months, I'll come back and take a few other pictures, and that's it.
Now, before chatting more with Mr. El-Sawy to learn more about his photo book and his project, we'll learn more about Dao Mẫu as well as Hầu Đồng, the mediumship, in the following clip.
Worship of the mother goddesses is a popular belief in the folk culture of the Vietnamese, especially in the northern regions, where Nam Dinh is the center of its religious practice. On the basis of goddess worshipping, the practices related to the Viet's belief in mother goddesses of the three realms was formed and strongly developed. They worship the supreme mother goddess Liễu Hạnh and other goddesses who rule the sky, forest, and water.
Tín ngưỡng thờ mẫu là mẫu phát sinh ra cái đạo thờ mẫu này là nhằm để ca ngợi những vị thánh có công đánh đuổi giặc ngoại xâm, mang lại cuộc sống hòa bình và ấm no cho đất nước. Trong 4 tứ bất tử Việt Nam thì có mình thánh mẫu Liễu Hạnh là nữ, cho nên chúng tôi cảm thấy là rất là quý mến, vì đây là đúng là đạo của người Việt Nam ta.
Worship of the mother goddess is a Vietnamese folk belief that has a long history and has evolved to adapt with changes in society. One of the core values of the worship of the mother goddess is turning the mind towards good, because every mother teaches her children to do good deeds and contribute to society.
After you did this research online, what motivated you, to continue photographing this ritual and eventually even publish a book about it?
I'm not a religious person at all. But I was always motivated in my travel photography, to go to festivals and ceremonies and photograph religious rituals. And I think the reason is because I was curious about what people believed and what they have and I don't have. And that's number one. Number two, I also was very interested in taking pictures of people when they are in a religious situation, in a ceremony, because they are no longer self-conscious. There is no artificiality. They are between themselves. It's between themselves and their gods and their goddesses. So there are no pretenses. Dao Mao in particular is it's a little bit of an ego trip, because, as I said, I haven't seen any work from non-Vietnamese in the Dao Mao. And it is very important for photographers to be the first, or anybody, to be the first in doing something. Another sign that I'd like to, if you will, ride the wave of interest in Dao Mao and publish a book.
Exactly, and as I said, even in Vietnam, not many people can fully grasp the concept. So the fact that you are introducing this art through a book can become a bridge almost to helping other people in the world to understand about it more too. Can you share with us some of the memories that stick to mind in this process of, researching and also eventually photographing the products for your book?
There are a number of memories that I find, that I remember. What sticks in my mind is, for instance, a picture of Nguyen V, like this one, where I photographed her in a ceremony in Lào Cai. And this one in particular struck me because you can see in her face the ecstasy of being, of incarnating the goddess that she is representing here. And these, to me, were very emotional because this is not pretense. This is not artificial behavior or artificial expressions. These are for real.
Can you share more, in terms of mediumship? The mediums take up or incarnate, as you say, reincarnate different characters. Can you please share with us some of your the characters that you are most impressed with?
My favorite spirit of them all is a spirit called Hoang Bay.
Yes.
And Hoang Bay is a national hero of Vietnam. He is not a celestial spirit, but he is a national hero. And here he is, for instance. This is Hoang Bay.
Yes.
Hoang Bay is also called the seventh prince in the pantheon. The first, of course, are the mothers.
The mothers.
And then the mandarins.
Yes.
And then the princes. And then the lady princesses, and then and so forth. So it's there are roughly 72 spirits in the pantheon.
Yes.
And Hoang Bay was a very famous general, maybe 1,000 years ago or so, and he stopped the invasion from Mongols into Vietnam. And his main temple is in Lao Cai, because it is in Lao Cai, near Lao Cai, where he fought against the Mongols. And the Mongol ships came down the Red River, and he was able militarily to surround them and burn them all, and they all sank. So he achieved a lot of fame and a lot of glory. And because of that, because of his successful defense of Vietnam, he was deified and became a member of a pantheon.
Now, in order to have 100 most quintessential shots for his photo book, Mr. El-Sawy has dedicated a lot of time, effort, and passion. In the following, we'll follow him along one of his photo shoots.
When Medium Ming was preparing his costume for the ceremony, Tewfic also got his equipment ready on set for the photo shoot. During nearly 2 years researching Mother Goddess worshipping religion in Vietnam, Tewfic attended thousands of mediumship ceremonies like this one.
And it's a sense of almost like belonging. It's coming, when I come to a ceremony, it's as if I'm coming almost my home, because I know what's going to happen. I know the music now, I know the sequence of the music, so it's almost like attending a ceremony that belongs to me.
Tewfic is no stranger to all rules of photographing at solemn events like this.
First of all, you have to remove your shoes. I cannot turn my back to the altar. I always shoot from the side, photograph from the side. I enjoy very much getting the lock from the mediums, and I always take with both hands and I say thank you.
For courtesan mediumship music singer Chị Ngọc Minh is a Vietnamese friend who has frequently accompanied Tewfic over the past nearly 2 years when Tewfic traveled back and forth to Vietnam to photograph and get to know more about the Mother Goddess worshipping and mediumship.
Ông vừa xuống máy bay được nửa tiếng đồng hồ, ông đã đi đến những cái nơi như thế này, chụp ảnh, nghiên cứu và ông có sự ghi chép, chọn lọc. Khi mà 1:30-2 giờ đêm, ông đang chăn trở về cái điều gì đấy, ông lại gọi điện cho tôi. Tôi có nói chuyện qua được bập bẹ một vài câu tiếng Anh và bắt đầu tôi lại bảo là thế ông vào Facebook đi, tôi sẽ chat với cả ông bằng từ điển.
During his nearly 2 years researching into the Mother Goddess worshipping, Tewfic always wanted to meet Medium Duc, one of the most famous mediums in Vietnam. He got that chance to meet him today at Chô Ba Temple in Gia Lâm, the outskirts of Hanoi. One needs to have the understanding of Mother Goddess worshipping and the ancient way of performing the ceremonies like medium dukes to know why a foreigner like Tewfic was so attracted to the religion.
Tín ngưỡng này là thờ tứ phủ, thiên phủ là trời, địa phủ là đất, thủy phủ là nước và nhạc phủ là núi. Thế thì qua cái tín ngưỡng này nó cũng thể hiện được cái nét đẹp cái nét rất là nhân văn của con người Việt Nam. Đấy, tâm hồn của con người Việt Nam phong phú như thế nào. Đấy, thì đã ảnh hưởng tới cái tín ngưỡng như thế, và đặc biệt là cái tín ngưỡng thờ tứ phủ của chúng tôi là đã có từ rất lâu đời rồi.
After his own researches and observation, Tewfic himself understood the essence of Đạo Mẫu.
Đạo Mẫu was very much the identity of Vietnam, very much about the nationalism of Vietnam, about the love of the country, about pushing back attackers and defending the motherland or the fatherland from the northern invaders, from other invaders. And it's the only religion that I know of that mixes gods from the heavens and military heroes.
Tewfic also came up with his own definition of the mother goddess worshipping as a philosophy of life.
Đạo Mẫu is a religion about now. The other religions are about later. You do good during your lifetime, maybe you get rewarded at the end. Đạo Mẫu is different, my understanding. It is about you do good now, and you will get rewarded now as well.
As we've seen in the reports that we have on you, you seem to be very well versed in knowing the ins and outs of Hầu Đồng and the mediumship, because as we know, there are 36 sections, is that right? 5 to 36 sections, and you can only differentiate between these different parts by music and colors and the costumes. So how has this process been in kind of familiarizing yourself with the ins and outs of the religion and of the mediumship?
I'm far from being an expert, very, very far from being an expert. But by reading the characters of the spirits of the pantheon and seeing them in action, you realize that there is a sequence to them. So the more you attend ceremonies, you begin to understand. I'm able to recognize sometimes by the music and by the costume. So, for instance, the male mandarins or princes, they wear a headdress that is like a turban. It's round. The ladies wear headdresses that are like a pyramid, and they wear more jewelry. So once you see a spirit or a medium, rather, wearing one of these triangular headdresses with a lot of jewelry, with perfume and so forth, then you realize, depending on the color, which one it is. The male spirits are more, as I said earlier, more stern, very stern look.
Yes.
They use swords, they use torches, and they are more, in a way, the personalities are more masculine. And the ladies, in contrast, they are more lightly and sprightly and so forth.
Very educational experience, isn't it?
It is.
Now, one of these rituals I've heard, can last up to 5 to 7 or even to 12 hours. Can you share with us some of the emotions that you have when joining in such a ceremony with everything that goes on and also how long it takes?
First of all, it's exhaustion, because if a ceremony is for 7 hours, you have to stand on your... Normally, I don't sit down. Very rarely do I sit down, so I'm on my feet almost for the whole duration of a ceremony. The average ceremony is, I think, at about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. I've been to some that start at 11 at night and finish at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so it's a little bit... it can take a long time. The most important thing to me in Hầu Đồng ceremonies, in particular with Đạo Mẫu, is that it's the only, and I've seen many religious rites before, it's the only religious rites that I've seen that are happy.
From some of the clips that I've seen, you can sense almost kind of a sense of even celebration.
It is exactly.
In November 2016, Mr. El-Sawy held 3 photo talk sessions here in Hanoi, attracting the interest of not only Vietnamese people, but also the expat community. We'll get to see more about these events in the following.
Chầu Văn, a traditional folk art of northern Vietnam, which combines Tran singing and dancing, is an indispensable part in any mediumship ritual of the Mother Goddess religion. A majority of guests at Tewfic's book introduction today are expats living in Hanoi, including American Susan Lect, who has long been interested in the spirit mediumship or Len Dong and has herself attended many Len Dong ceremonies.
I think it's a very fascinating aspect of the Vietnamese culture that most, certainly foreigners, know nothing about. So I think his work is exposing a really rich side of the cultural life of the Vietnamese. So I think it's colorful, the music is wonderful, the spiritual aspect is really interesting. Exposure like this and books and talks helps people to understand and hopefully will help preserve that part of the culture. It's very important to keep those, ancient traditions.
Apart from foreigners, a considerable number of participants to the event are mediumship ceremony performers themselves. Nguyễn Ngọc Vi is one of the well-known mediums in Vietnam. She is also one of the 7 main characters of Tewfic's photo book on mediumship.
Rất nhiều người Việt Nam họ coi thường chúng tôi lắm. Cho nên cái quyển sách này ra nó là một cái gì đấy nó như nói được tấm lòng của chúng tôi. Vì trong quyển sách này tôi biết là bác có viết về cái cuộc đời của tại sao lại ra Hầu Đồng và trước khi Hầu Đồng như nào, thì nó cũng giống như là kể về cuộc đời mình thì để cho mọi người hiểu hơn.
Folk artisan, mediumship music singer Trịnh Ngọc Minh is also a character mentioned in the photo book. The book is 170 pages, out of which 100 are color photographs. The rest are Tewfic's writing on mother goddesses and mediumship, which has shown the knowledge he accumulated by observing the ritual, by reading books, and by getting advice from the mediums he befriended.
Ông còn nghiên cứu cả lịch sử của Việt Nam, tức là những cái vị thánh thần này là bắt nguồn từ đâu, tích là ở như thế nào, đền thờ của họ ở đâu. Nói về giá trị chất xám mà ông bỏ ra, ông nghiên cứu gần 2 năm trời một cái cuốn Hầu Đồng như thế này, phải nói là một con người làm việc rất là chuyên nghiệp và có cái sự đam mê thật sự.
Giving workshops on photography in about 15 countries in the world, Tewfic was always attracted to photographing religious festivals and ceremonies. This experience and interest served him well when he decided to introduce the folk religions of worshipping the Mother Goddess and mediumship ceremony, a unique culture trait of Vietnam.
Cái nét văn hóa từ bao nhiêu năm nay ông cha ta để lại, những người Việt Nam đã rất ít người mang đi quảng bá được ra thế giới. Nhưng ông lại là một người ngoại quốc, ông đã mang được hình ảnh Hầu Đồng và mang được cái hình ảnh chân thực nhất của những cái vị vua, những cái vị chúa, những cái vị trầu, những vị quan hoàng hoặc là các vị thánh cậu để mang ra để quảng bá trên thế giới. Đấy là một cái niềm tự hào mà không có giá trị nào có thể đánh giá được và không thể nào phủ nhận được công sức của ông dành cho cuốn sách.
So in speaking with these 7 mediums that you've chosen to include in your photo book, what have these meetings taught you about the religion itself and also about kind of Vietnamese people?
These interviews gave me a window into the psyche of the mediums themselves. And I realized that they used the Dao Mao and the spirit mediumship, which is something which is in essence of Vietnam.
Yes.
So it's like they went back to the origin of Vietnam to resolve their anxieties, their fears, and so forth. And Dao Mao is a nationalistic religion, is a patriotic religion.
Yes, as we said, there are a lot of national heroes
Exactly.
who are.
So they identified with these people. So it gave me an insight, a window, not only in the psyche personalities of Vietnamese, but also in the history of Vietnam, how it formed the personalities of the modern day Vietnam. Being a naturalized American, all I knew about Vietnam was the American War and the French occupation, that's it. But this book forced me and encouraged me to go much beyond that and go back in history and learn a little bit more. It's a very complicated, very long, ancient, venerable history of Vietnam. But Dao Mao and Hầu Đồng introduced me and made me understand that there is a character and personality and essence of Vietnam that's in the people of Vietnam, be it their generosity, hospitality, kindness, culture, or all of that. So it gave me an insight through the medium interviews into history, personality, kindness, traits, personality traits, and everything.
Yes, that all kind of goes back to, you know, this religion being a symbol of Vietnamese history and heritage almost, because as you said, Mother Goddess religion has formed and people have added through generation different characteristic to it, and therefore it is an open book of Vietnamese history.
Exactly.
Now, you've had 3 photo sessions in Hanoi in order to talk sessions to introduce your book, but you have mentioned to our reporter that the main purpose of you coming here at this time, holding such sessions, is not only to promote or sell your books. So what more is there to the motivation behind this trip?
One of the main reasons to do it is to introduce Dao Mao and Hầu Đồng to the foreigners that live here. That's number one. The expat community. Because many of them, I met some of them at my talks, they say we look from far and we're a little bit shy and we don't want to intrude. And I say no, if you are able to overcome this shyness and go and be respectful and everything, you'll have the time of your life. You will see something that you've never seen before, so go ahead. So that's number one, to introduce to the expat community the religion of Dao Mao. Number two, which is very important to me, is also to show to the young Vietnamese people like yourself and even younger, yes, that there is a tradition called Dao Mao and Hầu Đồng, and they are now influenced by Western music, by all the pop songs, by K-pop, by whatever it is that they do. And I want them to also remember that they have an existing tradition, which is a wonderful tradition, and they should learn about it more and participate. The third reason is perhaps in a way also add to the many books that have been written by scholars and other people about Hầu Đồng and Dao Mao. That's my main purposes, is to introduce, yes, the religion. Yes, and also, of course, to the West when, yes, they buy the book. I wanted to do my first photo talks in Vietnam because this is where it all happens. And when I go back to New York City, I'm going to try to do the same thing in various museums in the city of New York.
You mentioned that you have an interest in a religious ritual photography. How does Hầu Đồng or mediumship within the Mother Goddess religion, how does that stand out or different or similar to some of the religions that you've captured?
I think it's totally different. I mean, there are some similarities, as I said, in perhaps trances, not so much as the mediums, but in the audience. To me, Hầu Đồng is spirituality, is faith, is superstition, is theater, is dance, is fashion, is music, is poetry, is audience participation. Mm-hmm. It's
culture, it's history.
It's history. There is a national background to it. It's all these things together, and it's purely Vietnamese. It's not like the other shamanistic traditions
Which
in
can
other
be
countries in
influence.
Asia. But it's very unique to Vietnam. As I said, I've never seen it before. I've never heard of it.
Exactly. Wow. Now, if I may go back a little bit to your career in the United States, you are now a freelance photographer. How did you begin your career of photography?
I think I worked for a very large American bank. I was a banker. I traveled a lot for work. I used to come to Asia. I used to go to the Middle East out of New York, Europe, and so forth. And at some point around 1999, 2000, I had enough of corporate culture, of banking. I didn't enjoy it as much. I used to enjoy it, but no longer. And I decided that I wanted to do something else with my life, something a little bit more fun,
Yes.
a little bit more creative. There's not as much money, of course, as in banking. So in 2000, I said I'm going to be a travel photographer because I like travel and I like photography. I took a couple of workshops just to remind me teach me what photography is all about. I merged travel photography and photojournalism together. So it's like a documentary that I do. And I said, okay, rather than take a picture of this lady sitting and being a very nice portrait, I would rather wait until she does with cutting flowers, selling flowers, playing music outside. So this is what I'm interested in. And I do this a lot. For instance, I went to India roughly 25 times since I started. It's a wonderful country, very colorful. And I traveled all over India, also religious festivals. Nepal, Bhutan, Cambodia, Indonesia, Vietnam, of course. Mostly, I like the religious photography because it shows me the character, personality of the people, as I said.
Yes. If you could describe your journey in learning more about Hầu Đồng, mediumship, and the Mother Goddess religion here in Vietnam, three adjectives, what would you use?
I think intensity, visual aesthetics, and beauty. I think these are the three things that come to my mind when I think of Dao Mao and Hầu Đồng.
Exactly. Now, ritual mediumship is not only limited to the confines of temples. People near and far can also see these rituals on stage, akin to a performing art.
On stage is the incarnation of the secondary Holy Lady of mountains and forests. Her dress is green with embroidered flowers. She wears a green scarf and holds a firing torch. She blesses people with good fortune. This is a medium ceremony reenacted at Hanoi's Worker Theatre by director Viet.
Cái điều mà tôi mong muốn là để mọi người nhìn thấy những cái gì đẹp nhất, tinh tế nhất, lộng lẫy nhất của cái gọi là đạo mẫu, nghi lễ tứ phủ và cái nghệ thuật chầu văn ở trên sân khấu. Và mong muốn làm một cái điều gì đó để không chỉ người Việt Nam mình với nhau mà khi khách du lịch trên thế giới đến được tiếp cận với những bộ môn văn hóa này thì sẽ thấy yêu hơn cái văn hóa của Việt Nam.
Chầu văn là tôi cảm thấy rất là hay và tôi nghĩ rằng là cần phải phát huy giữ gìn cái văn hóa cho những người Việt như thế hệ chúng tôi thì hơn 50 tuổi nhưng mà đúng là lần đầu tiên tôi mới được xem. Tôi cảm nhận được rằng là rất là hay và có ý nghĩa với có những đời sống tâm linh của người Việt và tôi nghĩ rằng là chỉ có người Việt Nam mới có cái văn hóa hát chầu văn như thế này.
Audience welcoming the ceremony is a positive sign to putting mediumship ceremony on the theatre stage. The program is supported by Vietnam National Commission for UNESCO in order to bring the worship of Mother Goddess closer to audience.
Nhiệm vụ của Ủy ban Quốc gia của chúng tôi là phải giới thiệu, giải thích về nội dung để xây dựng được một cái sự đồng thuận trong nội bộ người dân Việt Nam. Bởi vì hiện nay thì có một số người vẫn hiểu chưa đúng và chưa đầy đủ. Một số người vẫn cho rằng đây là một hiện tượng mê tín dị đoan, thậm chí có người cho rằng là buôn thần bán thánh. Do đó nên chúng tôi phải có nhiệm vụ là để cho người dân hiểu đúng.
On December the 1st, The practices related to the Viet's belief in mother goddesses of the three realms was officially recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The recognition took place during the 11th conference of the Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage at Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. The profile Vietnam submitted was considered to be one of the 18 profiles of best quality. It satisfies the 5 criteria, including important ones, such as the element is being transmitted from generation to generation. The element provides communities and groups involved with a sense of identity and continuity. The profile shows Vietnam has implemented detailed measures to respect the customs that influence the heritage.
If I may ask you again, through understanding more about Hầu Đồng and Đạo Mẫu, what have you understood about Vietnam as a country?
I think it's Vietnam is there is a lot of spirituality in Vietnam and Vietnamese people. I think there's a lot of Đạo Mẫu asks people to be kind, to be good as other religions, to be giving, to be sharing. And to me, this is what happened to me when I came to Vietnam. Even before getting involved in Đạo Mẫu or Hầu Đồng, I was struck by the how well Vietnamese receive visitors. Extremely polite, extremely giving, extremely generous. I've never had a bad experience in Vietnam. I came to Vietnam maybe 6, 7, 8 times. I've never had a bad experience by anybody. Everybody was extremely kind. So I think that Đạo Mẫu is part of a character of Vietnam, part of a character of the Vietnamese people.
Yes, exactly. Now, in the future, as you said, you go to different countries many times, and your project this time has been Hầu Đồng and the Mother Goddess religion. Have you seen any other fields here in Vietnam that you would like to continue exploring about?
I've seen a few. I've seen, for instance, a musical genre called Ca Trù,
yes.
which is beautiful. And maybe I do something with Ca Trù as well.
Yes.
It's not as lively, or it's a little bit more difficult to photograph than Hầu Đồng. But it's one of the things that I like about Vietnam. It has many different cultural aspects to it. If I'm lucky to find something as intriguing and as magnetic as Hầu Đồng and Đạo Mẫu, I will jump to it.
Yes.
But so far, as I said, I've been totally immersed in this project. But I will find something in Vietnam to do, certainly.
Yes. So we can expect for you to come back. Is that
I hope
right?
so. If you will have me, yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming here on our show and sharing your story, sharing your wonderful photos.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you very much.
And for introducing, Hầu Đồng and the Mother Goddess religion to the world.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And all of the best of luck in your future endeavors.
You're very sweet. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that wraps up this edition of Talk Vietnam with Mr. El-Sawy and his photo book on Hầu Đồng and the Mother Goddess religion here in Vietnam. We've hoped you have, as much as I have, learned more about this wonderful religion and all of that it has to offer to, help people learn more about the people of Vietnam. Thank you very much for tuning in here on Talk Vietnam, and we'll see you more next time. Goodbye for now.